Hey guys, tonight, let's settle in together. Close your eyes and drift back in time. Imagine yourself in the ancient world, long before cars, trains, or airplanes. You are about to set out on a journey, and the only thing stretching before you is the road. Rough, uncertain, and full of mysteries. The flicker of a small oil lamp still lingers in your memory from last night, when you packed your belongings carefully. You tried to sleep, but your mind wandered, restless with thoughts of where the road would lead. The journey ahead could be days, weeks, or even months, and every step would matter. You wake up to the sound of roosters crowing, the early chill of the morning brushing against your skin. The world outside your door feels quiet, except for the distant murmurs of villagers also stirring awake. In your small satchel, you carry bread, a pouch of dried fruits, and perhaps a flask of watered wine. Just enough to get you started. Nothing is wasted, for food and drink are precious when you are far from home. As you step outside, you glance back at the doorway of your home, or the inn where you stayed the night before. There is a heaviness in that glance, a silent awareness that anything could happen once you are on the road. You may return safely, or the journey may change you forever. In the ancient world, travel was not casual. It was always a risk, a decision weighed carefully against the dangers. And yet, people like you set out again and again, because roads connected lives, trade, and faith. The first steps are always the most memorable. Your sandals press against the earth, the dust rising softly with each movement. If you are lucky, you find yourself walking along a well-trodden path, something others, before you have carved out with their footsteps and cartwheels. The faint ruts in the dirt remind you that you are not alone, that countless souls have passed this way. The air smells different when you are outside the safety of walls. There's the scent of fields damp with dew, of olive trees bending gently in the breeze, of cattle moving slowly in the distance, and then, further ahead, the faint outlines of hills and forests, darker and heavier, hiding both beauty and danger. The road doesn't speak, but it whispers possibilities. As you walk, your mind drifts. You wonder about what lies ahead. A bustling town where merchants shout their wares? A quiet shrine on a hilltop where pilgrims light candles? Or perhaps just another long stretch of emptiness, where the only sound will be your footsteps and the beating of your own heart. You keep adjusting the strap of your satchel, feeling its weight dig into your shoulder. Each mile will make it feel heavier, though at this moment it only reminds you of the responsibility you carry. Sometimes travelers tie charms or small amulets around their necks or wrists, hoping they will bring luck. Perhaps you do too. A carved bone, a piece of polished stone, or even a prayer whispered under your breath before setting out. It is a fragile shield against the unknown, but it comforts you. As the sun rises higher, the road begins to warm, the shadows shorten, and the rhythm of your walking becomes steady. You try to keep pace, not too fast to tire yourself, not too slow to risk being caught outside by nightfall. Travel is a balance of patience and urgency. The day stretches long, but you learn to measure it in small victories. Reaching the next tree, the next bend, the next sight of distant rooftops. Other travelers may appear now and then. A farmer with a cart pulled by a weary mule, its wheels creaking and bumping over stones. A small group of merchants carrying bundles strapped to their backs, whispering in a language you half recognize. Sometimes you nod in silence, sometimes you exchange a greeting. The company of strangers can be reassuring, for even if you do not know their names, the shared journey creates a brief connection. Yet, in the back of your mind, you never forget the risks. Not everyone on the road is a friend. The farther you walk, the more you begin to feel the rhythm of the road settle into your body. Your steps grow automatic, the sounds around you blend into a quiet background. The chirping of birds, the rustle of grass, the occasional bark of a distant dog. Your thoughts drift in and out, as though the road itself is lulling you into a dreamlike state. It is tiring, yes, but it is also strangely calming. By midday, you find a shaded spot near a tree, or perhaps beside a small stream. Sitting down, you take out your bread and chew slowly, letting the silence of the countryside fill you. The water tastes cool, the food simple but comforting. You close your eyes for a moment, feeling the breeze against your face, and remind yourself that this is only the beginning. When you rise again, there is both weariness and determination in your step. The road continues, unrolling before you like a story waiting to be read. You know it will test you with dangers, surprises, and moments of quiet wonder. But for now, you walk forward, steady and calm, breathing deeply, your heart set on the path ahead. And so your journey begins. The road beneath your feet changes as the journey continues. At first, it is nothing more than a dusty track, uneven and scattered with stones. Your sandals kick up small clouds of dirt, and each step makes you aware of how fragile the path really is. In some stretches, the track narrows so much that only one traveler can pass at a time, forcing you to move carefully along the edge. In others, it widens, showing grooves carved deep into the ground, where countless cartwheels have worn the earth away. These grooves remind you that you are walking in the traces of generations before you. Some paths are ancient, as old as memory itself. Farmers once carried produce along them, soldiers once marched with their weapons clattering, and pilgrims once dragged their weary feet in prayerful silence. The road feels alive, as though every stone still remembers those who passed. You cannot help but wonder how many thousands of journeys have overlapped with your own footsteps. Then, on certain stretches, you come across something more remarkable, a Roman road. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a ribbon of gray stone cutting through the land. But when you step onto it, you feel the difference immediately. The stones are laid with a strange precision, flat and firm, designed to endure centuries. Though weeds push between the cracks and rain has eroded parts of it, the strength of the road still endures. Roman engineers had built these highways like veins of an empire, straight and unbending, carrying armies, merchants, and messages across vast distances. Walking upon such a road feels both reassuring and strange. The firmness beneath your sandals means fewer twisted ankles, fewer jolts to your knees. The path seems to promise swifter travel, yet its straightness is almost unnatural compared to the winding dirt tracks. The Romans built with purpose, not with the curves of the hills, and so you find yourself walking in a relentless line, as though the road itself demands obedience. You notice milestones standing along the edge, weathered stone markers that once told travelers how far they had come, or how far remained. Many are worn smooth now, their inscriptions fading, yet you can still trace faint letters, Latin words carved long ago, whispering across centuries. These stones are silent companions, guiding you in ways maps cannot. As you continue, you also see where roads have fallen into neglect. Broken stretches lie ahead, where stones are uneven and weeds grow freely. In some places, bridges have collapsed, forcing travelers to wade across streams or find makeshift crossings. Even the greatest of roads cannot fully escape the grip of time. The dust becomes a part of you. It clings to your sandals, cakes onto your skin, and creeps into your clothing. Every traveler knows this feeling. Dust on the road is like a second shadow, a reminder that you are far from comfort. You wipe your brow and feel grit between your fingers. Yet there is something strangely calming about it too. The rhythm of your steps and the endless stretch of road seem to carry you into a state of quiet endurance. Now and then, wagons pass, their wheels grinding loudly against stone. Drivers shout at oxen or mules, urging them forward. Sometimes a horse trots by, its rider cloaked and stern, dust trailing in the air behind. You step aside to let them pass, watching as they vanish into the distance. Each traveler on the road carries their own story, some in haste, some in sorrow, some in hope. You notice the way the road connects places. A village appears in the distance, its roofs clustered like a small island in a sea of fields. The road curves gently toward it, as though pulling you along. Travelers greet one another here more often, because settlements mean safety, food, and water. Yet between villages, the silence grows heavier. You walk for hours, perhaps without seeing another soul, with nothing but the wind and the steady sound of your own breathing. As the day goes on, you become more aware of how roads shape the rhythm of life. Farmers walk them with baskets of vegetables. Merchants carry goods tied in bundles, and herdsmen guide their animals carefully along the side. Children sometimes play on the edges, tossing pebbles or running barefoot, though their parents call them back quickly when strangers pass. Roads are not just for travel. They are places where lives intersect briefly before scattering again. The stones underfoot tell a story of human ambition, how people long ago carved order into the land, connecting distant regions with deliberate intent. Yet the wildness of nature always presses back. Vines creep across the edges, roots push stones loose, and rain carves small gullies beside the road. You feel this tug of war between civilization and wilderness with every step you take. As the sun lowers and shadows lengthen, the road takes on a golden glow. Dust dances in the light, and for a moment, the path feels almost sacred. You realize that for all its hardships, the road is also a teacher. It reminds you of endurance, of patience, and of the countless lives that have walked before you. You are part of that long chain now, just one traveler adding your footprints to the story written in stone and dust. And so you keep walking. As you travel farther, the quiet rhythm of the road is never without its shadows. Every step carries not just the weight of your satchel, but also the unease that danger may be waiting just out of sight. The road is not merely a strip of earth or stone. It is a place where the desperate and the cunning often linger. Bandits, thieves, and wanderers of ill intent haunt its edges, seeking those who walk alone. You feel it most when the trees grow thick on either side of the path. The road narrows, and the silence deepens in a way that stirs your senses. The rustling of leaves might be nothing more than wind, or it might be the faint shift of someone lying in wait. You keep your satchel close, your pace steady, trying not to reveal the small knot of tension building inside you. Travelers in the ancient world learned quickly. The road belonged as much to outlaws as it did to honest folk. Stories reach your ears from others along the way. A merchant whispers of how his caravan was ambushed at dusk, torches flaring in the trees as masked men leapt out with blades. A farmer recalls how he lost his mule and cart to strangers, who appeared friendly at first but turned violent. These tales are told quietly, as though speaking them too loudly might call the shadows back. And yet, every traveler listens, because such stories are warnings stitched into the fabric of the road. You remember that most bandits were not faceless villains, but often men who had once been soldiers, farmers, or laborers, driven to desperation. Hunger and poverty carved them into predators. Some wore scraps of armor, dented and mismatched, relics of battles fought long ago. Others carried simple clubs or knives, nothing fancy, but dangerous enough in the dark or in numbers. They did not need to look fearsome. The knowledge that they could strike at any moment was enough to unsettle the heart. Travelers often formed groups not only for companionship but for protection. There is strength in numbers. A lone wanderer was easy prey, but a cluster of pilgrims, merchants, or families offered at least some resistance. When night approached, people gathered their fires close, speaking softly, listening for sounds in the darkness. You imagine yourself in such a camp, sharing bread with strangers, eyes always glancing outward toward the shadows. Still, the fear of bandits was not always constant violence. It was the dread of what might happen. The unknown, waiting around the next bend, was often worse than the encounter itself. Every rustle in the brush, every distant shout, every sudden silence carried a weight that slowed your steps. Sleep on the road was often uneasy, broken by dreams of ambushes, of footsteps creeping closer. And when attacks came, they were swift. Bandits relied on surprise. A cart might round a curve and suddenly be blocked by fallen branches dragged across the road. From the woods, men would leap, weapons raised, voices shouting to confuse and terrify. In those moments, travelers had little choice. Surrender goods and pray for mercy, or fight with whatever strength they had. Few chose to resist unless they carried armed guards. Most learned quickly that survival was worth more than possessions. Not all robbers lived deep in forests. Some lurked near towns, waiting on the edges where watchful eyes grew scarce. Even inns could be dangerous. A friendly stranger at the fire might vanish in the night, taking your purse with them. Trust was always fragile, and every handshake carried the faint weight of suspicion. You feel this tension with each step, the strange paradox of the road. It connects people, yet it exposes them. To walk from one place to another is to risk not only the hardships of nature, but the greed of fellow humans. And yet, despite this ever-present threat, people continued to travel. They whispered prayers, clutched charms, or simply placed their faith in fortune, believing that the road would spare them this time. As you continue along the path, you catch yourself scanning the trees more often. A crow caws overhead, and for a moment your heart quickens. But no one emerges, no shadows step forward. Only the long stretch of road lies ahead, quiet and unbroken. Still, you walk with the knowledge that danger is never far, and that every traveler in history has carried this same wary awareness. The road tests not only your endurance, but your courage. Each night you lie down, uncertain what the next day will bring. Yet you rise again, shoulders heavy but determined, because the journey must continue. The fear of bandits lingers, yes, but so does the strength of your resolve. And so, step by step, you move forward, through the silence, through the shadows, through the hidden dangers that have always haunted the paths of the ancient world.